what I see is this team seems to be a little more resourceful than having in those seniors experience.
Does Shamika warrant a place um, in this team because he has been a terrific find for Sri Lanka.
Kusal Pereira is available. I don't really see Minod Banuk retaining his spot at the top of the order.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Around the Wickets, where we speak about everything that is cricket in this country. And I think it's a very happy notion that we are coming to you after the bilateral series win against India, and we had to wait 13 years in order to defeat India in a bilateral series and to chat about a few more. And South Africans are coming down to Sri Lanka as well to play a one-day series and a T20 series. So to chat about this, I have with me Estelle, Vasudevan, and Sharmeegan Sridheran, both of them very eager cricket fans and smiles on their faces. We are going to talk something positive about Sri Lanka cricket. Welcome to both of you.
Yes, Dasha.
I'll first come to Estelle on this. Estelle, Sri Lanka finally managing to get a win under their name, a series win under their name. They lost out the ODI series 2-1, but managed to come back in the T20 series, even though they lost the first game. How important was this victory for this young Sri Lankan team?
I think it was massively important, Sudarshana, particularly as you mentioned, after we lost the ODI series. I think coming back from the way we were defeated in the first and second games, I think the first game we were blown away, then the second game was very tight and we should have won that game. And to come back from that and then get a win in the third game and win the T20 series was very important, I think. In terms of psychology in the things, Sri Lanka, as you mentioned, a young team under a new captain. So it was important, even though I know we have to accept that it wasn't a full strength Indian team. It wasn't even the full strength Indian team that traveled to Sri Lanka. But I think morally that it was an important win because there were so many players who kind of would have got confidence out of the way they played. So I think overall, we should not go overboard with the win, of course. We should, um, they need to understand that and accept that this was not a full strength India team, but also there were a lot of good performances, a lot of promising signs from the Sri Lankan team.
Oh, absolutely. There is no doubt that this wasn't the full strength Indian team. But end of the day, what matters is the fact that every time Sri Lanka beats a team representing India, Sri Lanka is beating India. So that is something that the players will take as well. And also something very important that I wanted to speak about is Megan. Now even a school team just before their season starts, they would like to play a practice game with a team that would give them a lot of confidence. And confidence is something that Sri Lanka lacked in the past couple of series. With a brand new captain, they went on and took on players from India who have a lot of experience when it comes to the shorter format of the game. How important was that? And I think despite them missing a lot of important players, I think Sri Lanka can prove about a lot of very good performances from some individual players as well.
That's a very funny situation, so Sudarshana. Leaving out Angelo Matthews, leaving out people like Dimuth Karnaratna and Suranga Lakmal, experienced guns. So we thought, it's going to be a little tough, and it's not gonna be yeah. I'm sure we did not put up the best kind of ODI performance. We can't say this is the best ODI performance. One of the top teams in the world would put up, but anyways, so we thought we'll struggle. In terms of experience and especially in terms of the team's composition. But very oddly, Sudarshana, what I see is this team seems to be a little more resourceful than having in those seniors experience. If we just put back a couple of elements together, I think this team is capable of taking on a good side because on paper, if on a very good day, we've got everything. We've got all our bases covered with this 11, and that is very important.
Oh, absolutely. We really do hope that this is a turning point because it was a brand new captain yet again. And he did managed to give out a very decent result for us. Like Estelle mentioned, yes, we lost the ODI series, but the second game we could have won. Third game we did win, so that did give
Yeah,
some hope
if
to.
we had won that game, Sudarshana, it would have been a entire different outlook on the series, isn't it? Just that second game, it would have been a series win for us, even with a good Indian side.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I think that is the second game is what gave the players confidence that this Indian team is beatable. So they started believing in themselves as well. So the Sri Lanka cricket saw how important this victory was for Sri Lanka, and they've decided to uh, reward the team with 100,000 US dollars as a bonus for winning this game. And we've spoken about the financial part of it. We've spoken about contracts, and I think. Players getting rewarded monetarily for their good performances is also important. And kudos to Sri Lanka cricket for taking that step. Next assignment for Sri Lanka is going to be South Africa, who is coming to Sri Lanka. They will tour Sri Lanka for a series of three ODIs and also three T20Is. The first ODI commencing on the 2nd of September. It's going to be a very, very important series for Sri Lanka because, especially because of the fact that we are playing in Sri Lanka. And after this success with India, it's important that you carry it forward. You can't let it be a one off case. And again, the critics will say it was only because of the fact that India were a depleted side. We can really prove our case against a South African team who comes down to Sri Lanka. If we can continue the good work, I think we'll be able to be very successful. So, what we're going to do is something very interesting. We are going to pick the brains of these two to see who the best personnel are in order to represent Sri Lanka against South Africa. Now, I'll start off with you, Estelle. As for the openers, we saw some openers being juggled around during the Indian series as well. Uh, Having too many openers is a problem that Sri Lanka had. Having too many openers who are wicket-keeper batsmen was a problem Sri Lanka had. But currently, with the current availability, who are the openers that you are going to go with?
Well, that's an interesting one, Sudarshana, particularly with us not having Kusal Pereira in the previous series. So that was obviously a massive blow at the top of the order. So I'm assuming he will return for the South Africa series with a few weeks to go for it to begin. So with him back, I would say Avishka Fernando and Kusal have to be the first choice. I think this is particularly because we have lost now a couple of openers who could have maybe then allowed Kusal to drop down to the middle order. But as it stands, if Kusal Pereira is available, I don't really see Vinod Bhanuka retaining his spot at the top of the order. The gloves, the wicket-keeping gloves, it's difficult to say because Bhanuka was very good behind the stump.
Right, so you're going with Kusal Pereira, given that he's available, he's fit for South Africa, and Avishka Fernando, who had a decent, I would say, series, a comeback series with his performances. Now, uh, Sharmeegan, before coming to you, just to inform all of you who might not have heard the news, Kusal Mendis, Danushka Gunatilaka, and Nirusham Dikwal have been suspended for 1 year by Sri Lanka Cricket and fined 50,000 US dollars. So they will not be available for selection for one whole year. They've been suspended for 6 months from any domestic cricket as well. So they will have to work hard if they want to make a comeback to the Sri Lankan side. So, keeping that in mind, Megan, we are not sure whether Bhanuka Rajapaksa will be available again because of this injury, and also Pathum Nisanka suffered injury. Who will be your number three? Because that's going to be a very, very important spot in any team.
So it's a tricky one again, as Steve mentioned. Bhanuka Rajapaksa, if he is fit, it's a finger injury, especially. So it takes a little bit of time. He was given, I think, if I'm not wrong, he was given a 6 weeks time, which should be enough by the time we play South Africa. But if he's fit, I'm sure I'm gonna go with Bhanuka Rajapaksa at three, because not because it is the best choice I have, but because that we made that choice, and he's done something good there. So I think we have to be persistent with it, and we have to be consistent with our selection policies. So because of that reason, I think I'll let Banu Rajapaksa play. I mean, I heard this from Jan Mubarak once. You can make a mistake in your selections, but if you do make a mistake, stick by it. So as we have already chosen Manu Rajapaksa to be at number three, even though it wouldn't be my best choice, uh, I think he should be at three. If not, if Bhanuka is not available, I know no doubt I'll be sending DDS at number three to Darshana, because I think that is where he has averaged the most. And DDS throughout his career, we know he has batted almost the entire batting row from number one to number nine probably. But I think where he has been more effective is number one. I mean, at number three, and I think that will allow his calm game to be the best in best shape, so Darshan, because we saw how we ended both the last games, how we had a cool head on his shoulder, and if we are to use that for positive effect and the optimum effect of it, I think maybe at number three, giving him some time, using the pace to get settled in, and then bring in the spin, because he has a horrendous shot selection. He goes for a wild stroke after playing a proper cover drive through covers for four. So those kind of things will settle in if he can take some time at the crease. So I think that will be my decision to play DDS at number three if we do not have Banu Rajapaksa. And of course, even Patum Nisanka would be an option if he is fit, but I think he'd be more better to be shuffling between Kusal Chanit Pereira and him to the opener spot because Avishka Fernando is in form.
All right, very interesting thoughts there. Estelle, do you agree? Number three, Banu Rajapaksa or DDS?
No, actually, I would go in a slightly different direction. I think particularly for the ODIs, if I was to pick with Asalanka's form, I would push Asalanka up to number three and have Bhanuka Rajapaksa at five, DDS at four. That is purely on the basis of, I think, even Asalanka was pushed down the order after the England series because the management realized that this is a young guy. He needs to get some, game time. He needs to get some confidence on board. That is, according to Dasun Shanaka, that was one of the reasons why they decided to push him down to number five. But I think he had a really superb series against India. That 150 he got against, I think, in the second ODI really gave him the confidence and I think made him believe that he can be part of the international arena, that he deserves to be there. So for me, that confidence, that barrier has been passed now, so he can be pushed up to three. But like Megan said, continuity is always great. Uh, Dhananjay De Silva has moved from one to nine. He's batted at six, seven. He's batted everywhere. So some continuity, I'm sure all three of them would appreciate, having a steady position to bat.
Right, so Charit Asalanka, Bhanuka Rajapaksa, and DDS seems to be common for both of you to be part of the team and might be shuffled around in the fashion that Sri Lanka cricket has shuffled around their batsmen. So, who are the all rounders that you would opt to go for, Megan? We know the skipper Dasun Shanaka will be a batting all rounder, although he doesn't bowl much. Who are the others? Does Charmika warrant a place? Um, in this team because he has been a terrific find for Sri Lanka.
Well, doubts, Darshana. Is that even a question? We are anyway, no doubts they are we're gonna play both the all rounders, Chamika Karunaratne and of course Wanindu Hasaranga. So there is no doubt in that they are gonna be the all rounders. And maybe we can get a bit of Ramesh Mendis in on and off games shuffling with Akil Dhananjay both. I wouldn't want to see both our spinners playing and Ramesh Mendis being the third or spinner in the team because that is very unfair by the youngster because he was dropped after doing well in Bangladesh in the last dead rubber, and again he was given a dead rubber in India, and which I think he did perform considerably well. And then coming in as the third spinner, he didn't have much to do. So I think it's very unfair by the spinner if he's being played. I think he played ahead of Akila Dhananjaya as the second. If not, let Akila Dhananjaya play because he's also having a decent comeback to international cricket. So he should also be given that continuity. So it depends on the form. It depends on how they perform each game. So both of them should take one game at a time and do their best. So I think those are the all rounders I will be seeing. And there, as I said, no doubt both of them, Shamika Karunaratne and Wanindu Hasaranga, will be playing.
Right, and as for Sri Lanka's pace battery, I think they've been the most impressive lot, even through the past couple of series. Even when Sri Lanka weren't getting their wins, the pace battery had been absolutely amazing, led by Dushmantha Chamira, who's very quickly getting on to the habit of picking up a wicket in the first over, just like the mentor he currently has in the side. Dushmantha Chamira, and who else will be part of your battery, given that Bruno Fernando will come back from his injury as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think Dushmantha Chamira has been excellent. Binura Fernando was also really coming up to some good form. Unfortunately, he was injured and couldn't participate in the last series. So I think those two will be the two leaders in the fast bowling front. I think a lot selection will depend a lot on the pitchers. If we go according to what happened against India, those were very slow pitchers. And facing South Africa, I have my doubts whether that will change. So if the pitches stay similar to how they were for the India series, then definitely Sri Lanka will probably look to go with the two fast bowlers. Dushmantha Chamira, of course, the number one choice, and Binuru Fernando to back him up. Of course, you've got Chamika Karunaratne and Dasun Shanaka himself who can back them up as well. Um, One more guy I think Sharmeegan didn't mention was Praveen Jayavikrama. I thought he was particularly impressive in the game that he got. We of course saw him in the Test arena where he broke a load of records in his first game, but in the ODIs he showed that there might be something promising there from him in limited overs cricket as well.
Very interesting phase in Sri Lanka because as long as we can defend a modest score, I think that will be a very big positive for Sri Lanka. Estelle, now before we get on to the South Africa uh, series, Sri Lanka will be playing an invitational T20 series amongst the national players, amongst the top players of the country, which will commence on 12th of August and will go on till 24th of August. Now, this will be played with four teams that will be formed. How important is this tournament? Because this tournament will give opportunities to a lot of players to put their hands up and say, I am in the reckoning for the T20 World Cup squad selection. So this series might change a couple of faces that we spoke about, and some new faces might come up for the South Africa series.
Yeah, I think it's massively important. It's a massive opportunity for some players, like I mentioned to you before. I think personally in Sri Lanka cricket right now, although we've had a lot of wicket-keeper batsmen, that is a spot that is up for grabs because Kusal Pereira's had his problems with fitness. Um, and Sri Lanka would really want him to focus on his batting because he's right now one of the best batsmen we have in our limited overs squads. So that wicket keeper batsman position is there's a huge opportunity there. So I'm sure there'll be a lot of guys up for the challenge to fill that spot. Overall, yeah, it's going to be an interesting tournament, particularly with only four teams. So we will see the best of the best competing against each other. Personally, I don't see too many changes to the playing 11s for South Africa, but definitely we should see at least one or two new faces in the larger squad.
All right, so there you go. And now, just before we finish and wrap up, one interesting thing that's currently happening is the Army Commanders League cricket tournament, and some of the senior players that have been overlooked rather from selection are in terrific form during this tournament. Do you think that will reckon a call up for them? I'm basically hinting about Dinesh Chandimal, who is in cracking form. Do you see a way back for Dinesh Chandimal, maybe for the one day series against South Africa?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you mentioned, he looks in really good touch. He's been getting a lot of runs under his belt, but uh, we've seen this before from Chandimal. You know, he's performed really well at domestic tournaments, yet somehow fitting into the national team of late, had a few difficulties. I think overall, with the policy that the selection committee has adopted since coming in, to me, it looks difficult for someone like Chandima to come back. I think front runners from the seniors who were left out probably are Angelo Matthews and Karunaratne. But who knows, if all he can do is get runs. That's the only way he's going to make it back into the team, and that's the only thing he has control over. Um, of course, Sri Lanka would love to have an informed Dinesh Chandimal in the team. If he's getting runs, then yeah, he should be inside.
All right, then. Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. It was an absolute pleasure having a chat with you all, and also it was terrific to chat about a winning series, a series that Sri Lanka did win after a long, long time. Look forward to having a chat with you all again next week, where we will be chatting a bit more about the invitational series of Sri Lanka cricket and how that happenings might affect Sri Lanka cricket. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, Sudarshan.
All right, so we've come to the end of this week's series of Around the Wickets. Sri Lanka cricket have really turned a new leaf in their page of performance, and we really do hope that they will continue to do so in the future too as well. And as we mentioned, Sri Lanka Cricket Invitational T20 series is going to commence next week, so we will bring you a lot of information on that as well. But for the time being, we'd like to know which player would you like to be included in the next squad announced for South Africa? Who will be the player that you would like to be included in the South Africa in the squad against South Africa? Do comment on the comment section, as we would like to know your input as well. So thank you so much for joining with us on Around the Wickets. Until next time, I'm Sudarshan Pedi signing off for the Papare.
For premium content and exclusive member benefits, subscribe to thepapare.com today.